Happy Easter, everybody, as of recording this episode anyway, and welcome to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet, the daughter.
And I'm Kevin, the dad.
And this week, listeners, you're in for a doozy. This is going to be one contentious episode because we are listening to the best of Kiss. So, Dad, what do we need to know?
We need to know first that's the very best of Kiss. Not just the best, it's the very best.
This is the best? I shudder to think what else is there.
Okay, so anyway.
After the races.
With 21 songs to cover, this biography is going to be brief because I didn't want to do a two-part episode, but I also didn't want to eliminate any of the songs. So this is going to be a Cliff Notes version of the band, but believe me, there's tons of information about Kiss on the interweb, so happy surfing. Stanley Bert Eisen, born January 20th, 1952. Chaim Witz, born August 25th, 1949. Paul Daniel Fraley, born April 27th, 1951, and George Peter John Chris Koula, born December 20th, 1945. You know them better as Paul Stanley, the Star Child, Gene Simmons, the Demon, Ace Frehley, the one who probably blew all his money, the Spaceman, and Peter Criss, the Catman. It all started with the band Wicked Lester, formerly known as Rainbow. Gene and Paul were part of the band, both on vocals, with Paul playing rhythm guitar and Gene on bass. They recorded one unreleased album. Gene and Paul thought one of the reasons for their lack of success was their lack of a singular image and musical vision. They decided to start over, recruit new members, and concentrate on a more hard-rocking sound. They saw an ad placed in Rolling Stone by Peter Criss. Now they were a trio, and they began a strict and regular regimen of rehearsals. In December of '72, Paul placed an ad in the Village Voice looking for a lead guitarist. Quote, "No time wasters, please," unquote.
That's smart.
Ace auditioned twice, and around Christmas, he was in the band. Paul came up with the new band name Kiss after Peter mentioned he was once in the band called, wait for it, Lips.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hug.
No, but that would have been good too. Paul designed the band logo with the lightning bolt S's, which happened to look like the insignia of the Nazi SS's.
Yeah.
But Paul and Gene, being Jewish, said there was no intentional likeness to Nazi symbolism whatsoever.
Yeah.
However, in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Lithuania, and Hungary, the two S's look like backwards Z's.
Okay.
Because they have some laws in those countries.
Yeah.
Anyway, also, some people thought KISS was an acronym, either for Knights in Satan's Service or Kids in Satan's Service.
I like the first one.
But Gene says, no way. Me, I'm for Keep It Simple Stupid. Anyway, in March of '73, the band made a 5-song demo. Former TV director Bill Aucoin saw the band a few times in some summer showcase concerts in '73 and offered to be their manager in mid-October. KISS said yes on the condition that he get the band signed to a label in 2 weeks.
Whoa.
On November 1st, they signed with Casablanca Records. Their self-titled debut came out in February 1974. It initially sold 75,000 copies. Their second album, Hotter Than Hell, came out in October of the same year. Their third, Dressed to Kill, came out in March of '75. KISS wasn't moving a lot of product, but their live show was doing amazingly well. Meanwhile, back at Casablanca, they were close to bankruptcy, and KISS needed a hit.
Uh-oh.
They were more exciting live than what was coming across on the record, so why not a live album? Alive got KISS their breakthrough, and it saved Casablanca Records from bankruptcy. Now the band was on their way, selling out concerts, cranking out albums with actual hits on them, and working with producers who knew what they were doing. The band had always criticized the first 3 albums for their cruddy sound. KISS merchandise sales went through the roof, reaching $100 million from 1977 to 1979. KISS can take a fan from cradle to grave, starting with KISS onesies and ending with, I kid you not, the KISS casket.
I've also seen KISS urns before.
Ah, yeah.
Yep.
KISS wanted to push their brand even harder. They and Bill Aucoin came up with a 2-pronged attack. 4 solo albums and a movie that would portray them as larger-than-life superheroes.
Oh, my God.
Well, this is probably the point where they jumped the shark, because the solo albums did... But Ace out of all 4 of them, surprisingly, got a hit with New York Groove. And the movie that was promised to be a cross between Star Wars and A Hard Day's Night
Oh my God.
turned out to be Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park.
Oh yeah, I think the Phantom reviewer was pressured to cover that at one point. I've heard it's bonkers. Jess and Andrew talked about it. They're like, we're not covering that.
Yeah, it is bonkers. Anyway, meanwhile, there was dissension in the band. By 1980, Peter was out, and Eric Carr, the Fox, was now the drummer. He'd be with Kiss until his death in 1991.
Wow.
He'd been diagnosed with heart cancer.
Oof.
Then he suffered an aneurysm and then a brain hemorrhage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he was replaced by Eric Singer. Ace was out by December of 1982. Now, Gene said that Eddie Van Halen wanted to replace Ace,
What?
but he and Alex Van Halen talked him out of it. Paul denied any of this happening because, you know, Gene, he says lots of things.
Yeah.
Vinnie Vincent, the Wiz, replaced Ace. Vinnie would be replaced briefly by Mark St. John, who was replaced by Bruce Kulick. Ace and Peter would be back from 1996 to 2001 or so, because once they did that Unplugged show on MTV,
Yeah.
it just got these rave reviews, so the cash registers went off in Gene's eyes like he was Uncle Scrooge. And, hey, let's get the band back together. Let's hit the road. Let's make an album that no one's going to buy, but people will come and see us in concert. Now, Eric Singer would be back in the drum set from 2004 to 2023 as the Catman, whilst Tommy Thayer would be the Spaceman from 2002 to 2023. Meanwhile, back in the 80s, Kiss decided to unmask themselves. Since it was the 80s, the place to do it was MTV.
Okay. Oh yeah.
That happened on September 11th, 1983.
Zoosh. And nothing else happened on that day at that time.
Nope. Anyway, there were more albums, more tours, including a bunch of farewell tours.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any band has had more farewell tours than Kiss.
Wow.
They got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in August of 2014.
Whatever.
And I know there was some controversy with that because I think Gene set up a website to make it look like it was a fan website saying Kiss should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh my God, of course he did.
Anyway, they also appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone for the very first time. In January 2019, they started their End of the Road tour, which wrapped up in December of 2023, which they swear it's the last tour that they're ever going to do. But guys, I'm throwing it out there. This year's the 50th anniversary of Alive, so you need to tour for that album and do the whole album.
Will you go see it?
Just a suggestion. I would go.
Okay.
Anyway, Uncle Joey and Sam saw them on August 18th, 2021 at the Xfinity Center in Mansfield, and they were both very impressed. I think Uncle Joey more so than Sam.
I gotta say, a live show, you know, they look like they're having fun in that MTV clip. I'm like, okay, I can get why you'd paid money to go see them in a concert. They look like they know how to put on a good show.
Oh, yeah, they give it all.
Listening to albums, we'll talk about that later.
Okay, now next the band announced it will live on as digital avatars
Oh, yeah.
for virtual stage show performances starting in 2027 in Las Vegas. Where else?
And they're still gonna make all that money.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah.
they got the idea, I think, from ABBA doing their Voyage show in London.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as for me, never got to see them live, but being a kid growing up in the 70s, yeah, the hits were on the radio, and like also being in junior high school, they were just insanely popular. There was this one kid in my 9th grade class, John Mastrobono, who could do the Gene Simmons spitting fire, and he did that in class. And even the teacher was impressed.
Like real fire?
Real fire.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, now I know where Rammstein got it from.
Swallowed a little of the lighter fluid, lit his cigarette lighter, pooh. See this ball of fire.
That's nothing compared to Rammstein, but hey, someone's got to do it first, I guess.
And me, you know, I was just always looking for a definitive best of for, you know, what I needed for my needs anyway. And Rolling Stone once observed that Kiss best ofs were always incomplete, quote, as if it hates the idea of anyone buying just one Kiss album, unquote. Finally, in 2002, Mercury/UTV/Universal answered my prayers and came out with the very best of Kiss. And son of a gun, it had everything that I personally wanted and needed.
Oh, good for you, Dad.
Yeah. Hey, the songs, hey, and they did it right. The songs are in chronological order.
Okay, that's good.
The booklet's a little thin, but it's more like a leaflet, but it does give you like songwriting credits, producing credits, what album it came off of, and when it was out. But it doesn't give you the band lineups because they did change over the years. I mean, okay, most of the album, like the first 17 songs, are the four of them, and then we get into, whoever was free that night to play. So let's jump right into this.
You have to explain a lot. First track, Strutter.
Not Stutter.
Strutter.
Strutter.
Yeah. Man falls in love with a hot babe who knows she's hot shit and uses it to her advantage. And by advantage, I mean stringing along men in really hurtful ways. She'll let you walk down the street with her, but then pretend not to see you. Or if you take her home, she'll say, maybe, baby. I also think there might be a class element in this. As Paul sings, she wears satins like a lady, but also acts like a spoiled brat when she doesn't get her way. Or also acts like a child to get what she wants. It's giving rich kid who was never told no growing up, like a Veruca Salt. But what I find really weird is that he calls her Strutter as an insult. Like, there's definitely worse things he could have called her, and I'm grateful he didn't, but it's such an odd word to use. And I know some people use the word strut when talking about someone walking who's very cocky, but I always saw strutting as a sign of empowerment. Strut your stuff. So that one word is really throwing me off in an otherwise okay song.
I don't think it was used as an insult. It's just like she's a strutter. She just struts down the street.
It kind of is. He's
like,
not her biggest
like you said,
fan.
when she wants, she might let you walk beside her, but then she's just going to pass you by. She's just going to strut on through. Anyway, this is from the debut album called Kiss. Yes. This is one of the few songs that Paul and Gene wrote together. Paul sings lead with Gene and Ace on backing vocals. And yes, Paul knows a thing or two about her. She'll make you cry. And yes, she'll let you walk the street beside her. But when she wants, she'll pass you by. She's going in quick strutter mode. And I guess the way she walks, that just explains it. She's strutting her stuff. That was a big phrase back in the 70s. Anyway, I love how this song starts off with Peter's, the only way I can describe it is his galumphing drum intro. Then the band kicks in and rocks hard. And I know how they complained about the production on the first three albums, and I can kind of hear it with Peter's drums. They could be a little louder, but oh no, it's not bad. It does rock. Now, they re-recorded it in 1978 for their first Best of Double Platinum collection, and they called it Strutter 78.
Wow.
To quote Gene, and folks, pardon my really bad Gene imitation, I look back and think, why? The original is the classic and the best.
That actually wasn't that bad.
Thank you. Well, and my thing is, well, Gene, apparently you forgot that. You've got to give the fans a reason to buy a product that they already have.
Next track, Deuce. These lyrics really prove to me that Gene Simmons really is up his own ass for thinking he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I was just sitting there baffled. Like, the drumming is very good, the guitar player is giving it his all, and Paul sounds great, but these lyrics are just, like, kicking out your grandma? I started laughing right away. I can't take it seriously at all. I guess they're trying to hit the point that her man is a good guy, so she shouldn't care about anyone else. Maybe. Please explain. And my note at the time was, I have a feeling it's going to get weirder and weirder from here on out. Oh, little did I know.
This is also from Kiss, and yes, Gene wrote this. He said he copied the bass line from the Rolling Stones song Bitch, but I don't think Bill Wyman did not get a songwriting credit. And Gene,
he shouldn't get any credit for anything. He should be in jail.
Gene also once said, lyrically, I had no idea what I was writing about.
Oh, that came across.
Sometimes stuff means a lot, and sometimes it means nothing.
Brilliant, Holmes.
Thanks. Well, for me personally, I mean, when I've heard it, I always think it's about this guy who's just like really working hard to provide for like everyone, like his wife, his family. And, I think Gene's trying to tell, the wife that, her man is worth a deuce, which is also another euphemism for shit. That's what I got out of it, and that's what I'm sticking to. And I think the band really rocks out on this one. Peter's making with the drum rolls, and Ace is just killing it on the guitar.
Yeah, he is. Next track, Got to Choose. Okay, I'm assuming this came before Paula Abdul's One or the Other.
Oh, years
Way before. Because Paula Abdul's at least has competent lyrics, the bare minimum. Okay, so based on the lyric, I know you need a change of pace. This isn't anything serious. This is a casual hookup, but it doesn't seem like this guy caught feelings. He got jealous and wants to be her one and only booty call. I feel like it needs more grit in the vocals for a guy staking his claim. The falsetto got to choose doesn't really work for me. And Paul Stanley has played the Phantom before, so I know he'd get this reference if he ever listened to this, which he probably won't. I want to hear some grit a la "You try my patience, make your choice." That's what it needs. You have the instruments to make a dangerous, sexy bad boy song, so give us that. The Who's Your Babies come close to that, but we need a bit more of that energy throughout the entire song.
Again, we could probably blame it on the production. Who knows? Anyway, this is from Hotter Than Hell and was, yes, written by Paul. And they were kind of like, if you wrote the song, then you sang it. So I looked at it as like he's being two-timed, and he says he knows she needs a change of pace, but he ain't gonna run no race. So she's got to choose who her baby is. There's some nice ace guitar at the beginning and at the halfway point, but other than that, nothing really outstanding, but I've never skipped it.
Next track, Hotter Than Hell. Paul sees a hottie at the bar, someone who's hotter than hell. However, the song quickly takes on a different meaning as she explains she'd love to, but there's one problem. She's married. Now he's going to be burned in a different way, as in he actually might burn in hell if he takes her to bed. But I don't feel the inner conflict of wanting this woman in the music or even in Paul's voice. And as for the lyric, "I'm on the case," it feels so corny and out of place in this song, unless this is Inspector Gadget undercover or something. For some reason, he's the detective that comes to mind when I hear Kiss's music. I don't think Holmes. I don't think of Poirot. I don't think of Miss Marple.
Go Gadget.
I think of Inspector Gadget.
Well,
they exist in the same universe because that's the goofiness that both of them deserve.
Well, I think in the early days, Kiss was like still learning how to write songs.
Oh, that comes across. I don't think they ever learned how, but...
Oh, and whatever they came up with, that's what it was. Now, oddly enough, this song is from the album Hotter Than Hell. And Paul wrote this, and he said it was a rewrite of Free's song All Right Now. But again, Andy Fraser and Paul Rodgers did not get a songwriting credit. Paul said he wrote this about an encounter at a bar, to which I have to ask, what kind of bar is it? Because how many women? Maybe you can answer this question for me. I don't know.
All I could think of is that Simpsons episode where Homer's at the lesbian bar and he's like, "There's something wrong here. Wait, there's no emergency exits or fire extinguisher."
My question is, how many women wear satin and lace to a bar? I'm thinking, well, maybe outside of a strip joint anyway.
Maybe it's a Munchies event or something.
Okay.
Or a kink bar.
Anyway, Paul's coming with the come on, but like you said, there's a problem.
She's married.
She showed me her with the band. And the whole old lady verse just always cracks me up. There's just something in Paul's delivery where he's just like giving it a lot more than he should.
Next track, Come On and Love Me. This song feels comfortably 70s with how Paul sings Come On and Love Me.
Yeah.
Now, according to astrology websites, Cancer and Capricorn are highly compatible signs. Cancer's emotionally nurturing nature is a good balance for a responsible, practical, and ambitious Capricorn. This song isn't so much about lust as it is about the joy of finding the one for you on the road. This isn't just a groupie. This girl's going to go all the way. This is, as of now, the song I found the most pleasant so far.
Okay, this is from Dress to Kill. And Paul wrote this in under an hour, and the title pretty much says it all. And I think the thing is, with that line about she's a Capricorn and I'm a Cancer, or the other way, straight that, reverse it, whichever it is, it does not get more 70s than that, because this was the
hey,
decade
baby,
of
what's your sign?
Yeah, and not in the hot toddies way, but
yeah.
And oddly enough, Paul said he was inspired by the Moody Blues song Question when he wrote this.
Which I don't get.
I can vaguely hear it musically, but lyrically, no.
Next track, Rock and Roll All Night. Oh boy, Lois, here comes the best part. When those drums started, I'm sorry, I was expecting my Sharona.
Well, this was first.
Yeah, but you can hear why I thought that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's two reasons why this song became a big hit. First, obviously, the part where the instruments cut out invite the audience to sing the title along with the band. Second, the story of the song feels like you get a peek behind the curtain of the rock and roll party lifestyle, and that's fun and exciting. Also, I don't know if this is heresy, Al and Mike, I'm sorry, but the guy singing here sounds like he has a hint of Bruce in his voice. Like Springsteen's kid brother or something. Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
It is a song that gives you a good time, and if it plays in a bar or a karaoke night or something, I'll sing along. However, I'm not going to actively seek it out.
Okay.
But if it came out of like a sports game, I'd be like, and party every day,
And have a really good time.
Music's dead for me, man.
That's from Family Guy, for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sure the clip's out there on YouTube. Anyway, this is from Alive! Exclamation point. The original studio version was from Dress to Kill and was written by Paul and Gene. You drive them wild, they'll drive you crazy. And whilst they did rock and roll all night, they did not party every day. Well, Paul and Gene anyway. Ace and Peter picked up their party slack.
Yeah.
And that may have been their eventual undoing because Paul and Gene ran a tight ship. This is a businessman.
Well, yeah, someone had to run it.
Yep. So, probably like a lot of people my age when they were a kid, this was the first Kiss song I ever heard because it was inescapable. You just heard it everywhere. And it was like decades later when I heard the original studio version. Not even close. The studio version only made it to number 68, and the live one made it to number 12 and became Kiss's first top 20 hit. Why? Because it sounds so much better. Eddie Kramer produced Alive, and in him, Kiss found a producer who got the band. They sound big. But the question you may be asking is, how live is Alive?
How live is Alive?
I'm glad you asked. Eddie Kramer knew that dubbing was needed to make the album sound good. But for years, Kiss denied any dubbing was used. Gene did admit that there was some post-production touch-up, but that was it. But eventually, in 2003, they did admit to overdubbing the album. Paul said they wanted to capture the energy, not have it be note for note of what actually happened, like miscues, mistakes, etc. Peter's drums were the only thing that remained unaltered.
Wow.
Even the audience was doctored.
Wow.
The best cheers and screams from various Kiss performances were just spliced together. But you know what? It all still sounds great. In 1996, Kiss did an MTV Unplugged episode, and I sent you that video. I know
Yes.
you got.
I watched a little bit of it.
So it was the original four, along with Eric Singer drumming along with Peter,
Yep.
and Bruce Kulick trading solos with Ace. They closed the show, as they did with almost all their concerts, with Rock and Roll All Night.
It looked fun.
It was a good version.
Next track, Detroit Rock City. I learned that this song was written about a fan who died in a car crash on their way to a Kiss concert. Apparently, the driver was smoking and drinking too, but I couldn't verify that, so take it with a grain of salt. So this guy's in the mood to see his favorite band and hear his favorite song, and then he dies in a car crash. The ending is almost manic, which makes sense because it's a horrible way to go, but also that line of, well, I got to die laughing if I know I'm going to die, that makes you sit up a little bit. I couldn't tell whether they were going for a tribute or if they were trying to capitalize on the tragedy, because just something about it didn't have the emotional effect on me that I wanted to have if someone wrote a song dedicated to a person who died in a tragedy. Or maybe they knew that if a fan of Kiss wanted to have a song dedicated to them, it would be dedicated to having a good time, which that I could see.
This is from Destroyer, and it was written by Paul and producer Bob Ezrin. Now, Paul said it started off being a song about Detroit, as they were the first city to embrace Kiss. Then, when they were playing in Charlotte, North Carolina, Paul heard about someone coming to the arena to see them who was killed in a car accident. So Paul incorporated that into the song as well.
So it's a hodgepodge, and it doesn't really work.
Well, the guy has a drink, a smoke, he gets into his car to make the midnight show, but winds up on the wrong side of the road and gets creamed by a truck. But you know, kids, that's life in Detroit Rock City.
Sure.
I gotta say, this song rocks hard, and Gene's bass playing really stands out. He said his bass line was influenced by R&B. He compared it to Isaac Hayes' theme from Shaft and Curtis Mayfield's Freddie Dead, and I can definitely hear it in Freddie's Dead. Not so much in the theme from Shaft. But I give him credit for this song. There's some intricate parts in there, and they play them very well.
Next track, Shout It Out Loud.
What?
Shout It Out Loud.
Oh, okay.
Even though I feel like this song is trying to be the sequel to Wanna Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day, I still thought that it was a good message. At the end of the day, you got to remind yourself that you're number one, and sometimes you need to just pump yourself up, either by yourself or with the people you know and love. And I also think that this was supposed to be a song like Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day, because at one point the music cuts out and they start chanting almost exactly the same, indicating they want the audience to sing this along with them too. It's very clearly trying to recapture the success of that same song, but I don't find it particularly bad. I just don't find it particularly great either. But again, a song on here I can at least tolerate.
This is from Destroyer, and it was written by Paul, Gene, and Bob Ezrin, and vocals are by Paul and Gene. The guys were trying to cash in on the success of Rock and Roll All Night by trying to come up with another anthem. And this one only made it to number 31, but it stayed in Kiss's concert set lists for almost every tour since it came out. It's one of those, get up and do something songs. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't just sit there. Just you gotta rock. You gotta take a stand. You gotta do something. You gotta shout it out loud. And it seems to me that those words seem to make up 99% of the song. And musically, it's kind of has a rock and cheerleader vibe to it, if it makes sense.
Next track, Beth. Kiss does a love ballad in the style of symphonic rock, and honestly, I think it really works. It's also a topic that's relatable to a lot of rock singers. You're on the road and you have to play, and the guilt that you have for knowing that your wife is at home alone is eating you alive. He recognizes that she has a right to be angry and sad, but he can't do anything because this is how he earns his living in order to support them both. It could easily be cheesy, and it could easily come across as fake and or saccharine, but it doesn't at all. Of all the songs in the album, I will say it's the one that's the most well executed and the one I've come the closest to enjoying.
Okay, this is from Destroyer, and it was written by Peter, Stan Penridge, and Bob Ezrin. Peter and Stan were in the band Chelsea. It was first originally called Beck, after another band member's wife, Becky, who would call asking when her husband would be coming home.
Oh.
Yeah, the life of a rock and roll spouse is not an easy one.
That's why David Lee Roth never did it.
Peter hadn't written any songs on Kiss's first 3 albums, but for Destroyer, he was determined to contribute something. He sang an up-tempo version for Gene and Paul, and they told him to take it to Bob Ezrin to see if anything could be done with it. Bob agreed to record it, and he thought it'd be a big hit. It was something different from the band's usual songs about sex, and Bob made several arrangements to the song's melody and wrote some of the lyrics. Gene suggested changing the song's name to Beth, as he thought that would be easier to sing and would avoid confusion with Jeff Beck. It was originally released as the B-side to Detroit Rock City, but DJs flipped it over and they were just playing Beth instead of Detroit.
Wow.
And now Beth went all the way to number 7 on Billboard's Hot 100, making it the highest charting Kiss single.
Are you Casey Kasem?
I am. It also won an award for Favorite Song at the 1977 People's Choice Awards, chosen by the people. Never received a ballot, though, all these years. And years later, the kvetching and the complaining. In one of his autobiographies, Gene said he'd never seen Peter write a song, maybe contribute a lyric or two, but that was it. After listening to Penridge's original demo, it's clear who made the original song. Paul said Peter had nothing to do with writing Beth. If you write one hit, you should be able to write 2. That's my really bad Paul.
Yeah, that was bad.
Andy does. My friend Andy, he's a hardcore Kiss fan. He does the best Paul Stanley imitation ever.
I gotta hear it.
You have to. If we run into him at some point, I will ask him to do it for you. And Peter said Paul was just jealous. It's incidents like this that's caused Andy, again, who's a huge Kiss fan, to compare them to a group of yentas. Just always with the gossip and the complaining. As for the music, none of the band plays on it. Bob Ezrin plays piano, Dick Wagner plays guitar, and the New York Philharmonic plays everything else.
I'm Casey Kasem.
I still am.
Next track, I Want You. At first I thought I knew what this song would be. First, a love ballad. Then the guitar kicked in and I thought, okay, a rock ballad. Then he kept saying, you can't run and can't hide from me. And I thought,
ooh, scary.
No, I thought, oh, this is the Kiss version of Run for Your Life. Then it turns into a motivational pep talk and goes back to the opening verse and chorus. I think it loses direction with the kind of song that wants to be. And they go back to the chorus because they don't know where else to take it. A love song that seems very confused as to what kind of love song it wants to be.
This is from Rock and Roll Over, written by Paul. And Paul thinks of days gone by, and he thinks what he wants out of life is you. You can run, but you can't hide. He's going to get you. Call the police.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first time I heard this song, I thought, oh, it's going to be mellow. Listen to it on headphones. The first verse, with just the acoustic guitar, and then boom, I woke up pretty quickly. Everything cranks up. And there are some parts of the song where Peter's just bashing away on the drums. Not hitting, but just out and out bashing.
Next track, Calling Dr. Love. Hearing Gene Simmons sing this makes it feel even more gross. There's a segment on the Opie and Anthony show, which I'm not a fan of, but Mike is, and he played me this one clip where Gene made some really gross remarks about how he'd screw one of their girlfriends. He said, hey, I'm going to fuck your girlfriend. like while pinning one of them up, like one of the guys up against a wall. And that's all I could hear as this song played. And it's why I don't buy this song for 1 minute, because Gene treats women like meat, and there's no other way to put it. Even if he didn't, and he chugged respect women juice, he's still way too cocky for me to find him to be Dr. Love. This is just him blowing smoke up his own misogynist ass. Not even that great guitar solo can save this song from its creator.
This is from Rock and Roll Over, and yes, it was written by Gene, and allegedly, and I hope this is true, allegedly it was inspired by the Three Stooges short, Men in Black, because they're working in a hospital, and there's a part where on a hospital intercom calling Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard.
Okay.
So, I don't know how true that is.
Whatever.
But yes, Gene is Dr. Love, and he's got the cure you're thinking of.
No.
Or not thinking of.
No.
Or he's just going to give you some sort of social disease. Anyway, the background vocals always crack me up. Calling Dr. Love. I can't say exactly why, but they do. And musically, I think this is funky as Kiss would ever get, thanks to Peter's beat.
All right, we're almost done. Well, not really.
Hang in there. Hang in there, Jules. Just hang in there.
Next track, Hard Luck Woman. You need to play that lyric for Mom. If never I met you, that would drive her up the wall.
There's the grammatical...
Yes, hell, it drives me up the wall. And Kiss fans, that one lyric hurt my head and made me tune out the rest of the song because I felt myself getting dumber as I listened. Please make it stop. And why is the woman's name Rags? That's just awful. The funny part is how casually he leaves her, but other than that, oh God, I never want to hear this song and its bad grammar again.
This is also from Rock and Roll Over. It was written by Paul, originally as a song for Rod Stewart. Paul was inspired by Rod's songs Maggie May and You Wear It Well. Then they decided to keep it for themselves. Peter sings on it, and Peter fell in love with her, but he's got to be moving on. She'll be a hard luck woman until she can find her man. And musically, it sounds a lot like Rod Stewart's You Wear It Well. And I think Peter and the band do a pretty good Rod imitation. I bet even Rod thought he had recorded this and just forgot about it if he ever heard it. Like, Sharon, did I record this song? Also, Sharon, what are you doing in my house? Should you be at Ozzy's?
Next track, I Stole Your Love. He stole her love, the end.
That's pretty much it.
I tuned out. That's how little an effect this song had on me. I feel like the music is half-baked between rocking and love ballads, and instead... No. I feel like their music is half-baked between rocking and love ballads, and instead of doing a solid combination of both, we get this.
Okay, this is from Love Gun, and it was written by Paul, and yeah, the title pretty much says it all. Best lines, I'm something different, ain't like the rest. How does it feel to find out you're failing the test? See me after school. Anyway, musically it reminds me of Detroit Rock City, which Paul also wrote, so he could have just been stealing from himself. The thing that saved this song from being so just run-of-the-mill is like Paul is just so into it. Like he's just like out of his mind. And for me, that kind of makes it a worthwhile listen.
Next track, Christine 16. Is this song as creepy as the title makes it out to be?
Yes it is.
One YouTube commenter...
Smithers, I believe you owe me a Coke.
No. One YouTube... You don't deserve a Coke after this.
How about a Pepsi? How about a Whole Foods Coke?
Okay, fine. One YouTube commenter nailed it. These lyrics feel like a 12-year-old who saw a high school girl and came up with a song on the fly. Which, if this was written by a 12-year-old boy, I'd give him some credit. Now, here's the thing. If you didn't have that spoken word monologue, it could be a bit more ambiguous about whether or not this guy's a creep. But then that spoken monologue does come in, and you realize that this is the local Humbert picking up a new Lolita. Although in the actual book, 16 would have been too old for one of Humbert's nymphets. God, I feel gross saying that out loud. If I want to hear a man sing about a woman named Christine, I'll just put on Phantom of the Opera. And no, it's not the same thing, because canonically in the book, she's in her early 20s and he's only been in her life for 6 months, so there. And if you want to know who made the Phantom a pervert, yeah, I have 2 words for you. Joel Schumacher.
Why am I not surprised?
Yep. Mr. Bat Nipples made Christine Daae 10 years old in The Phantom Matter.
Yep.
Ugh.
So, this is their version of, well, no. Because Gene would never write Don't Stand So Close to Me and be like, stand inside me. Anyway, this is from Love Gun. Yes, written by Gene, and he's infatuated with the girl of the title because, of course he is. He's Gene. So let's see. At the time he wrote this song, he was 28. And so watch it, Gene, because 16 will get you 20. And somewhere Matt Gates is saying 16, too old. Anyway, as it is, some stations were reluctant to play this song, and others would play it after 7 p.m. because I guess they figured after 7 p.m. kids don't listen to the radio. I don't know. Anyway, the thing that sets us apart musically from most Kiss songs is that piano. Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding. And fun fact, Eddie and Alex Van Halen played on the demo
Wow.
because when they demoed their first album, Gene produced them. He was the one who
Oh,
helped
okay.
them get their start. And anyway, what happened was when it came for time for Kiss to record it, Gene made Ace copy Eddie's solo note for note from the demo,
Wow.
or else get the back of his hand.
The tatange.
And he's probably wearing one of those spiked gloves.
So is that plagiarism or no?
What?
Is that plagiarism or no copying the notes?
I don't know. I mean, if you're just demoing, you're just like a
True.
hired gun.
Next track. Speaking of guns, Love Gun. Guy wants to get with girl because she pulled the trigger and activated the love gun. Could be an innuendo, could not be. They don't really specify. Or rather, they don't make a strong choice. I wish they picked one.
Okay, this is obviously from Love Gun, written by Paul. And to quote one of the guys in the movie Role Models, which I saw and was hilarious, it's Paul Rudd and some guy from the American Pie movies. He's singing about his penis. And once again, Paul is so into it. And again, he's just like out of his mind. There's such an urgency, especially when he sings, "No more tomorrow, baby, time is today." You know, that's like he's got this sense of urgency. And then he follows it up with, "Girl, I can make you feel okay." Okay, that's it, Paul. That's the best you can do with your love gun.
Well, he's honest.
Oh, okay, that's like one step up from not so pretty good, not too bad. Oy. But that cracks me up every time, though. It's like he's charging the charge and he's telling
And
her,
then he chokes.
"Yes, I can make you feel okay." But yes, it does rock. And that line
Sure.
just,
Sure, okay.
maybe, break out the rhyming dictionary. I'm sure there had to be something.
Next track, New York Groove. Did Saturday Night Fever sue?
Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah,
You
the
mean
movie.
the Bee Gees? The movie?
Yeah.
No, this
sounds
is an
like-
old song.
Okay. This song would have been almost perfect if it weren't for the spoken word parts. Other than that, it felt like Soul Train Light, or like Simon and Garfunkel from an alternate universe. This could have been a great song if Kiss just got out of their own way and didn't kiss it up so much. But this is the solo piece, right?
This is the solo.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well, it's still bad.
This is from the imaginatively titled solo album called Ace Frehley. It was written by Russ Ballard and originally recorded by the British glam band Hello, whom I've never heard of. Ace was not too keen on doing a remake, but producer Eddie Kramer insisted. Result? The highest charting single from the 4 Kiss solo albums. From Ace, of all people. Go figure. Anyway, Ace's version is pretty glam, especially with that chunky beat. And the guitars are Bo Diddley-esque, which, hey, not bad. Not a bad song. It definitely deserved to be a hit. Good for you, Ace.
I guess. Next track, I Was Made for Loving You. Those are really nice guitar and bass licks to open up the song, and the do 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 do. They work because they prime you for the catchiness of the chorus when you don't even know the words yet. Again, this song is what Kiss should have been all the time because it really works, and I find myself singing along to it. And I remember when this song went viral back on TikTok, as couples pointed out how they were the perfect match for each other. E.g., the black cat girlfriend with the golden retriever boyfriend, the goth lesbian and the cottagecore lesbian, or like Mike and I, the bisexual and the gender fluid. All of them really good and fun. But I guess a lot of other people found this song thanks to either Umbrella Academy or Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I kissed at a Scooby-Doo special.
I saw that.
This song works. Wait, what?
The Umbrella Academy?
Yes.
Okay.
This song works and works fine, and that's all I wanted from this whole album. Was that too much to ask? Apparently.
Okay. This is from Dynasty, or as they say in Britain, Dynasty. This was written by Paul, producer Vinnie Poncia, and Desmond Child. Paul wrote the verses in an hour, whilst Vinnie and Desmond came up with the chorus. Would you believe? Kiss goes disco.
Yeah, I can
Yep.
hear it.
Paul wanted to prove how easy it was to write and record a hit disco song, and he did. And it went all the way up to number 11 on Billboard's Hot 100. But the hardcore Kiss fans hated it.
Does Andy hate it?
I'll have to ask him. They thought that it was a sellout.
Oh, but sell out from the people who make the onesies and the urns? They sold a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. 3/4 of the band hated it.
Really?
Guess who liked it?
If it's Gene, that would be hilarious.
No, it'd be Paul, obviously, because he wrote it and sings
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it. It's not a bad song, and I gotta say, Paul turns in a pretty admirable singing performance,
Yeah.
especially when he goes for the falsetto. It made me realize, I think this is the only song on here up to this point where he's doing actual singing.
Next track, I Love It Loud. The drums sounded like We Will Rock You for a second. I wished I was listening to that instead. And then those vocals kicked in that were pretty good. Queen Light. The President lyric made me scared because the only thing almost as scary as the current guy is President Gene Simmons. Of course Gene likes it loud. I was done with this song 1 minute in and we had 3 minutes to go. It felt like time dragged and that fake ending pissed me off. Let it end, God, let it end. And we're almost ending now. We only got 3 more songs and then I can put this misery behind me.
Are you gonna make it?
Yeah, just come on. Let's keep going.
Okay, I feel like I should talk slowly now just to prolong it. Anyway, this is from Creatures of the Night. It was written by Gene and Vinnie Vincent. At this point, Peter was out of the band, and this would be Ace's last album, kind of, sort of, because he's on the cover, but he doesn't play on the album. There was some sort of contractual thing. Anyway, Vinnie Vincent handled lead guitar on most of the songs. Ace did stick around long enough to play on a short promo tour of Europe, and then he was gone. The title pretty much tells you all you need to know. Musically, the sound is huge. Eric Carr's drumming is almost Bonham-like, because this is a departure from Peter's drumming, as Peter's style was more jazz influenced, probably from having Gene Krupa as his drum teacher when Peter was a kid.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Gene Krupa was the drummer in Benny Goodman's band, and he's most famous for his drum solo on Sing, Sing, Sing. And Gene Krupa is pretty much credited with inventing the drum solo, for better or for worse. Anyway,
Wow.
and just when you think this song is over, false ending. And also, Paul does not play on this song.
Okay. Next track, Lick It Up. My first note, I don't want to know. Oh, the irony of Gene Simmons having that long-ass tongue and still not being able to satisfy a woman. Anyway, this guy doesn't want to waste any time. As he says, it ain't a crime to be good to yourself. I wonder if people first misheard this song as Live It Up. It's a hookup song. It's serviceable. Nice part is those voices increase in volume and pitch, though. That was fun.
This is from the album called, wait for it, Lick It Up. Now, you'd think that with that title, Gene, whose tongue is 7 inches long and is insured for $1 million, would have written it. But no, he did not. Paul and Vinnie Vincent did. And yeah, there is that, it ain't a crime to be good to yourself, lick it up, which I guess they want you to lick up life. Like, I don't know.
No, I don't think that's what they're talking
What
about.
it lacks up in substance, it makes up in style, especially Paul's vocals and Vinnie's catchy riff.
Next track, Forever. This feels like the Raspberries in an alternate dimension.
Huh.
You hear it?
Kind of.
Not really.
Kind of. I gotta kind of like strain my brain.
We go from hookup song to love song. This guy knows this girl is the one. Nice transition in the album chronology. And other than that, the ballad is pretty generic as far as I Know You're the One songs. But if someone played this at a wedding, I'd respect the couple for making a unique choice. Then they repeat the chorus over and over and it ends. Supposed to leave you with a lingering emotion, but it did nothing for me.
This is from the album Hot in the Shade. This is written by Paul Stanley and
What?
Michael Bolton. Yeah, that Michael Bolton.
Son of a bitch. What was that your reaction to when you found out?
Like, oh, it makes perfect sense. Anyway,
But do you enjoy it or not?
I've never skipped over it. I don't know why.
So maybe he's a better writer than a singer sometimes?
I mean, like you said, it's generic lyrically, so that's
Yeah.
the best you're going to get from the man.
Okay, well,
But, he is responsible for bringing your mom and I together because of our mutual dislike of the man, not because we love his songs. So, Michael Bolton, if you're out there, thank you. Anyway, so it's 80s power ballad time, but it came out in the beginning of 1990, but that's close enough to the end of the 80s? Maybe. Basically, girl, Paul will be loving you forever. But not Gene, because he doesn't even play on this one. This song went all the way to number 8, making it their second highest charting song behind Beth. Somewhere, Peter Kiss is smiling. Oh yeah, he's still on the top.
final track. God gave rock and roll to you. Okay, I like that opening guitar. God gave rock and roll to you. 2.
And there's a reason for that.
Okay, explain later. Okay, I like that opening guitar. There's a good sense of mystery there. Nice drum part, too, to complement it. I've definitely heard this song before. Not from your car, but probably at a party, because I remember a giant group of people singing the chorus. Honestly, this song could have just been the chorus over and over, and I would have enjoyed just that. I don't think a key change is needed here. The original key is more wistful like this one, although I get that it's supposed to be an exclamation of joy, but then they bring it back, so I'm appeased. But it actually gives some good advice. Reminds me of So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star.
Oh my God, I wrote that down.
I'd sing along to this at a sports game.
Mm-hmm.
But I would only want to listen to the Tom Petty So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star.
Okay.
Screw the other guys. I still don't like them.
Okay, this is from, the Boyds?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is from Revenge. Originally titled God Gave Rock and Roll to You, written by Russ Ballard and recorded by the band Argent in 1973. Then it was covered by Christian rock band Petra in 1977.
Really?
With slightly different verses, giving it a more of a spiritual bent, and even then it was very controversial because, Christian rock band saying, God gave rock and roll to you.
Oh, like and that's the devil's music? Yeah.
Yeah, so they wrote it out, though. Kiss's 1991 version took the original version and made a few changes, hence the 2 at the end of the title.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of thought, this is also their version of So You Want to Be in Rock and Roll Style, but since it's Kiss, man, you have to work real hard and sweat it out, because, as they tell you, if you don't want to work out real hard, it's never too late to work 9 to 5.
Yep.
And when you get to Paul's, I know sometimes life can get tough speech. It's the closest we get to one of his classic stage raps.
Oh, and, yeah, you sent me a medley.
I mean, there are some people who do longer ones and have done them better, but I thought, okay, this is 2 minutes. I think you'll make it through.
I did not.
Oh, wow.
I was just overwhelmed with Kiss at that point. I was just ready for it to be over.
So you missed the part where Count Von Count comes on?
What?
And counts how many times Paul says, people! Because Paul tends to say the word people a lot in his raps.
Whatever, I don't care.
Anyway, YouTube has plenty of his stage raps available, and they are fall down funny, hilarious. Andy was the one who introduced me to them. This was the last Kiss song to feature Eric Carr. He was too sick to play the drums. Eric Singer played them. But he sings the line to everyone he gave a song to be sung during the a cappella break. And then 3 months later, he was dead.
Okay, before we move into the overall thoughts, you got to explain something to me. Who came up with the makeup look for the band and the outfits?
I imagine was probably Paul and Gene. I don't know. That was one thing I never found out, unless it was glam influence. They probably saw other.
I could see that.
Maybe like Bowie or T-Rex or whoever. But they just took it further.
Overall, I'm not mad, just disappointed. I thought I was going to be partying every day with some bubblegum rock. That would be fun. Instead, I got half-baked songs with bizarre lyrics and one particular asshole who's a bit full of himself. This band gets in their own way too much and it curbs my enjoyment. So if you're Mets on Kiss, don't bother. Stick to the hits that get played and don't go looking deeper. You're in for a world of letdown. I'm not having a good time. I'm down in the dumps and wishing Dad didn't have this album so the illusion of what Kiss was in my mind wouldn't have been shattered. And now I have to live with the bitter, stupid reality. Happy Easter, I guess.
As for me...
Yes, for you. Why? Why do you like this? Why, Santa Claus? Why?
I think it's a nostalgic thing because I grew up hearing the bulk of these songs on the radio when I was a kid. And,
all right, fine.
What you hear with a kid, you're a kid, kind of stays with you, brings you back to that.
Whatever.
I don't want to say simpler time because it was the 70s, but anyway, it's definitely the only album I will ever need to own by them. Sorry, guys. At the very least, you need Rock and Roll All Night in your life.
I guess. All right. All right, as always, thank you for listening. What?
I just want to say I did not force Juliet to pick this album.
No. Yeah, I've got no one to blame but myself. Okay. All right, as always, thank you for listening to Slices. Don't my dad listens to this. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. The more you listen to the, remember, the more you interact with the video, the greater chance you have appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on social media, I'm going to post this episode there. If it's my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, I guess, and he'll email it to you. We'll be back next time with I don't want another album to pick a gripe about. I want another album I'm gonna like. God damn it. Do anything you want to say? You have a story. Please let it be worth it.
I have to tell you Andy's Kiss Cruise story.
Okay, go ahead.
They used to have the Kiss Cruise, and I did some research, and they don't have an official Kiss Cruise anymore, but some fan is trying to put one together for 2025. Anyway, Andy told me that on one Kiss cruise, there was a comedian who did this note perfect imitation of Gene.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes on the ship's intercom system as Gene.
The guy?
Yeah, the comedian. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, the ship has just hit an iceberg. Please make your way to the lifeboats, causing widespread panic on the cruise ship, which is in the tropics.
That was a good story, but it wasn't worth the album. All right. Well, take care, everybody. Bye.